Pythagorean theorem. Find the unknown side of the triangle. Here we're going to use the formula for Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. We can apply this formula to find a missing side of a right triangle when two sides are known. Now remember, Pythagorean theorem can only be used on right triangles. That means that one of the angles in the triangle must be 90 degrees. Since this triangle is a right triangle, we can use this formula. Now C is always the hypotenuse of the triangle, which is usually that diagonal line. For this triangle, this is the hypotenuse, and we'll label that C. A and B represent the values of the legs of the triangle, and these can be interchangeable. So 6 can be either A or B, it doesn't matter as long as it's a leg, which it is. And the legs of a triangle are the sides that aren't the hypotenuse. So we're just going to label 6 as A and 8 as B. Now we'll take these values, plug them into Pythagorean theorem, and solve for C. I get c squared equals 6 squared plus 8 squared. 6 squared is 36 and 8 squared is 64. Next we'll add 36 plus 64 and we get 100. So c squared equals 100, but we want to solve for c. In order to solve for c, we need to get rid of the exponent by taking the square root of both sides. The square root of c squared is just c, and since we're dealing with lengths of a triangle, we're always going to take the positive when taking the square root of a number. So the square root of 100 is going to be positive 10. So my answer is C equals 10, or the length of the unknown side is 10 inches. Find the length of the third side of the right triangle. Again, we have a right triangle, so that means we can use the formula for Pythagorean theorem. C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And C is the hypotenuse, so that's 17. A is what we're trying to find in this problem, so we'll just leave that as A squared. And then B is the leg of the triangle, which is 9. Now to solve this, we're first going to apply the exponents. 17 squared is 289. 9 squared is 81. Next, we want to isolate the a squared term by subtracting 81 from both sides. 289 minus 81 is 208, and that equals a squared. Now we want to get rid of the exponent of 2 that's attached to the a, so we'll take the square root of both sides. The square root of 208 is 14.422051. And we'll round this to 3 decimal places. So we'll look at the decimal place that's in the 4th position, which is a 2. And since the 2 is less than 5, we're going to leave the number in the 3rd position, which is also a 2, as is. So our answer is 14.422. And that is the length of the unknown side, and this is in centimeters. Find the area of the largest triangle shown on the right. If we look at this diagram, we can see that the largest triangle is this triangle here. And we want to find the area of that large triangle. The formula for the area of a triangle is A equals 1/2 base times height. Now the base is represented by this line. As you can see, we can find the base by adding 11 plus 12 together, and 11 plus 12 is 23. So the base is 23. Now I want to find the height. And the height is this line right here. And we don't have a value for the height. So we're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem in order to find the height. We'll use Pythagorean theorem because if you examine this triangle here, we have a right triangle, and we know the base of that triangle is 12, and we know the hypotenuse of that triangle is 15, and we want to find the length of one of the legs of the triangle, which will be our height. So Pythagorean theorem is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And c squared is the hypotenuse, which is 15. A, we'll say that's our unknown, which is h, so we'll call that h squared. And then b is the length of one of the legs, which is 12. First, we'll apply the exponents. 15 squared is 225, and 12 squared is 144. Next, you'll subtract 144 from both sides. 225 minus 144 is 81, so h squared equals 81. Next, we'll take the square root of both sides. When we take the square root of h squared, we just get a single h, and then the square root of 81 is 9. So that tells me that my height is 9. Now I know my value for the base of the large triangle and the height of the large triangle. So I'll just plug that into the formula for area of a triangle and solve. I get A equals 1/2 times 23 times 9. 23 times 9 is 207. Next, we'll multiply that by 1/2, and multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. 207 divided by 2 is 103.5. So our final answer is that the area of the largest triangle is 103.5 square inches.